What is down, everybody? It is your main course, Little Pancake. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're talking about another animal, another being on this planet we call Earth. So I hope you're excited. Settle down, get some popcorn, smash the like button. That way you don't have to move until the end of the video, and yeah, get you a that gum Dr. Pepper, bud. Sit back, relax, and enjoy learning about the Philippine eagle. I'm not a big fan of birds being close to me. So I grew up, we had chickens. I did not like the chickens at all. I love birds in the sky, a few 100 feet away from me, just going squaw, but not like next to me. I'm not a big bird guy. They freak me out. I feel like they're gonna peck me, and then I'm gonna go like that and kill it, and I feel bad about that, and it makes me scared. But I think they're really cool, especially eagles. I mean, in the United States, the bald eagle is the epitome of cool, right? I mean, so today we're talking about another eagle, the Philippine eagle. So let's get into it. Let me fix my document here because I can barely see the words on it. Excuse me. The Philippine eagle. Scientific name, Pithecophaga jeffrey. I don't know who Jeffrey is. Maybe we'll find out. We won't. I don't know. Other common names include the monkey-eating eagle. If that's not a sick name, that's a cool name. That's a good name. And the Great Philippine Eagle are other common names aside from just the Philippine Eagle. And then they have lots of native names across the Philippines. Banoy and Aguila are the two different names for it in Tagalog, which is the most widely spoken language in the Philippines. And then Visayan languages say Manawol. And then modern Filipino, which I'm not sure what the difference really is between modern Filipino and Tagalog. I am ignorant in that facet. But modern Filipino, they call the Philippine eagle Haribon. And that translates to Bird King, which is freaking sick again. I mean, this guy, the buzzword these days is aura, right? I think this Philippine eagle has some. And I mean, look at his picture. Holy crap. The Philippine eagle doesn't have blood. It has awesome sauce coursing through its veins. Now, when was this species found? Well, the first European, which, the world runs around them. First European to actually study the species was John Whitehead. He was a naturalist, and he found and studied the species in 1896. So fairly recently when you really think about the history of species, Upon its formal discovery, the term monkey-eating eagle was coined due to the Philippine natives reporting that the eagle only preyed on monkeys. That did happen to be false, but that's the way they perceived it. So our boy John Whitehead was like, let me think of something insanely creative. So you said the eagle eats monkeys? Let's call it the monkey-eating eagle. And then they praised him. They were like, oh! It was later discovered that they had a more diverse diet. In addition to that, two other eagles from around the world shared that same name of monkey-eating eagle. So they were like, dude, are you dumb? We can't have three eagles with the same exact name. Come on, John Whitehead. So in 1978, they renamed it to the Philippine eagle. And then in 1995, it was declared a national emblem by the president at the time, Fidel V. Ramos. It was originally believed that the closest relative to the Philippine eagle was the harpy eagle, which is native to a lot of South and Central America. But in 2005, they did some DNA sequencing, and they were like, we were wrong about this. And their closest relatives are actually snake eagles, which are found more in Africa and some parts of kind of southwestern Asia. they settled that, which was, I was worried. Thank goodness. So what does he look like? Well, you can see his picture, but let's get a little more in depth. The Philippine eagle has large brown feathers surrounding the nape of its neck, which is right there, which gives it that mane like appearance, like a lion, like he's getting ready to chow down on some monkey butt. I don't know why specifically the butt. I apologize for that statement. They also have a dark brown backside with a white creamy colored underbelly and underwing. Their legs are kind of bright yellow and very large. They got big meaty legs, and at the bottom of those legs are razor sharp, dark, big talons to kill monkeys and small children. Make sure your kids stay inside at night in the Philippines. Actually, they're not. It would be during the day. Night would be the safest time to be out. We'll get to that. Juvenile Philippine eagles look very similar to adults. They're a little more pale in color in their adolescence, but other than that, very similar. Now, this guy's kind of a big deal, so hold your photography, right? No paparazzi, please. In terms of length and wing surface area, the Philippine eagle is the largest eagle in the world. Pretty cool. Only the Steller's sea eagle and the harpy eagle are larger in weight. So depending on how you measure eagles, the Philippine eagle could be the largest in the world. They measure 2 feet and 10 inches to 3 feet 4 inches, or 86 to 102 centimeters in total length. Some other studies have found average lengths up to 3.5 feet, or 3 feet 5 inches, not quite 3.5 feet, or 105 centimeters for females, which the females are typically about 10% bigger than the males, which is common in eagles and is actually a pretty small size difference compared to a lot of other eagle species sexual dimorphism. And then the longest Philippine eagle ever recorded was 3 feet 8 inches long. That's about 112 centimeters. The adult Philippine eagle weighs anywhere from 10 to 18 pounds. That's 4.7 to 8 kilograms. Little more than your average newborn baby. And then their wingspan, which I always think wingspan is amazing, because you look at these birds up in the sky and you're like, that's not that big, right? It's probably, and you look, it weighs, 15 pounds, that's, I could curl that, But then you see the stat about their wingspan. The Philippine eagle wingspan is 6 to 7 foot 3 inches. 6 feet to 7 feet 3 inches. 184 to 220 centimeters. That's big. That means, like, you're on the smaller end of Philippine eagles. If you stretch it out, it's taller than me. Or its wingspan is taller than me. That's pretty crazy. They are tied with the New Guinea eagle for the longest tarsus by any eagle. The tarsus is a kind of an ankle bone. Their tarsus is anywhere from 4.8 to 5.7 inches, 12.2 to 14.5 centimeters. So another claim to fame for our coveted Philippine eagle. Their bill is pretty big as well. It can reach lengths of 2.84 inches, 7.22 centimeters. And then on the other end, their tail can come in at up to 20 inches or 50 centimeters. I know all this stuff about the bird. Where am I going to find it? Where do I go to see this bird? I'm guessing the Philippines, right? You're so smart. You are correct. The Philippine eagle is, in fact, endemic to the Philippines. It can only be found there. It is found on 4 major islands: Luzon, Samar, Leyte, and Mindanao. The majority of eagles are found on Mindanao, with between 82 and 233 breeding pairs. And I know that sounds like a big difference, 82, 233. It is, science isn't perfect. We can't count every single one. However, the drop-off is insane. Only about 6 pairs are found on Samar, 2 on Leyte, and an unknown but predicted to be low number of pairs on Luzon. They're typically found in dipterocarp, which is a type of tree. I think it might be a family of plant, and they thrive in older growth, bigger forests. Although only an estimated 9,220 square kilometers of old growth forest remains in their range. So that's not a good sign. Their elevations that they enjoy, pretty much anywhere in the lowlands. They're not really common at sea level, but lowlands up to 5,900 feet above sea level, 1,800 meters. And then their total estimated range across all of the 4 islands is 56,000 square miles, or 146,000 square kilometers. You might be thinking that's a really big range for a small number of birds. Each breeding pair of eagles requires an estimated 51 square miles of territory per pair. That's 133 square kilometers. So each of them, they require a lot of land. So now you know where to find them. What do you expect to see them doing? Well, they're gonna be hunting. They're gonna be eating with their talons. So they're very fast, very agile. They fly in a mannerism of smaller hawks, as opposed to the other large eagle species. You pair that with their eyesight being 8 times that of the human eye. They're pretty good at what they do, and what they do is kill things. So if you find some juveniles, they might be practicing. They are often seen attacking inanimate objects to practice, getting that squirrel or whatever. And then they also practice their balance a lot, because you're standing on a little tree limb all day, you don't want to fall off, right? So in order to practice balance, they'll often grip onto like tree knots and hold there. And on top of that, the parents of juvenile eagles do not play a role in teaching their young. So it's all instinct, natural. This is what I feel like I should do. Life expectancy, about 30 years in the wild. That's kind of a low estimate. They don't really know. A decent amount have lived to older than that in captivity, up in the mid 40s in captivity. But usually you want to knock a few years off for the wild. So I'm guesstimating 30. And then remember, earlier I said you shouldn't let your kids out at night. I redact that statement. You should not let your kids out during the day. All right, let them take their chances with the giant fruit bats or whatever. The eagles are diurnal, which means they're only active during the day. So all of this stuff coming together, the Philippine eagle is a dominant hunter in the Philippines. They have a wide variety of prey, so anything's on the table. Birds, other birds, reptiles, mammals, monkeys, which are mammals. They enjoy eating the 2 native species of macaws. Macaques? I don't know how to pronounce that. Macaque probably isn't correct. I'm going to put it on screen. These are what they enjoy eating. And those monkeys weigh up to 18 pounds in adulthood. So you got a pretty fair fight, right? I mean, you got 10 to 18 pound hawk against an 18-pound monkey. It's going to be tight. The largest prey that a Philippine eagle has ever been documented eating and killing was a Philippine deer, actually. And that was a big honking 31 pounds, 14 kilograms. Your kids probably aren't safe until they're like 4 or 5, honestly. I mean, it's going to be tough. They use 2 primary hunting techniques, strategies. The still hunting technique and the perch hunting technique. Still hunting is really complicated. They sit still until they see something that they want to eat. So they just sit on their little branch, on their perch, hang out, sit like this. And then when they see a monkey or a civet walk by, they'll swoop in and take them out. Perch hunting is a little more complicated. Perch hunting, they go to one perch, one tree limb, and then they'll kind of swoop down, slowly glide to another, and just work their way through the canopy until they find something. In some cases, eagle pairs, so a mommy and a daddy eagle, have been noted, seen cooperatively hunting groups of monkeys. So in order to do this, one will perch visibly to the monkeys to distract them. They'll go like that, and then the other one will come from behind and snatch one up. Just go boop, pluck him from the troop. Philippine eagles, they make some babies, but it takes them a long time. The breeding cycle for Philippine eagles is about 2 years, which is a long breeding cycle. Females are typically sexually mature by 5 and males by 7 years old. And then they mate for life. Once two Philippine eagles fall in love, they're locked in until one of them dies. They're monogamous, they mate for life. They're in love. But first you got to find your mate, you know. So courtship begins by one of them building a nest. So you find you a good spot and you go right here, boop, build you a little house. And then a lot of different tactics are ensued upon the potential mate. Loud calling, paired soaring, so they'll go whoo, whoo, see if they're compatible, kind of like synchronized swimming. Oftentimes the male will be seen chasing after the female and then jumping on them. And then they'll also do something called mutual talon presentation. So the male will hover, and then the female will kind of flip upside down, and they'll go toot, 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 kind of clink their talons together. And then they're like yes, or they're like no. And if they agree to court, the bird that did not make the nest will bring nesting material to the already completed nest. And then they start getting at it, bud. And they will go repeatedly on the nest, on nearby perches. They go to town, buddy. And this typically happens in July. Is typically when they breed. This varies based on, you know, which island you're on, how much rain they've had, how available prey is, you know, how hungry they are. And then the finished nest is lined with green leaves, which is very nice. I mean, the diameter of the nest is typically about 4.9 feet or 1.5 meters. And then nests are made very high off the ground. They're made typically at least 98 feet or 30 meters above the ground. So they are up in them trees, bud. Eagle pairs typically reuse the same nesting site for multiple generations. Now the females, they have it rough. 8 to 10 days before they lay that egg, females contract something called egg lethargy, which means that they do not eat, they drink very little, they droop their wings, they look all sad, they don't hunt, they don't do anything for 8 to 10 days, and then they poop out an egg. Sometimes 2, but usually 1. And then the egg is incubated by both sexes for 62 days. Males typically don't do as much as the females. What's new? They feed the chick for about 20 months is how long they take care of the chick. Both parents contribute to the feeding. Some observations have been made of the parents shielding their little eaglet from rain and intense sunlight. And then the little chick will fledge from the nest after 4 to 5 months. So it'll start flying around and getting active. After 20 months, the parents will kick him out. Get out of here. Get a job. Generation length is about 18 and a half years, which is very long. As I mentioned before, the adult eagles are the top predator. They do not have any natural predators. Neither do the chicks. Funnily enough, nobody is brave enough to go try to kill one of those chicks when mommy and daddy are swooping around looking like they do. Getting into the less bubbly, sad part of this video, the Philippine eagle was declared critically endangered by both the IUCN and BirdLife International in 1994. At the time of that declaration, their population was estimated to be about 180 to 500 eagles. And that has not really changed. The most recent estimate by the IUCN in 2019, I think, was the exact same, 180 to 500, which, you know, partially that's good. They're not decreasing, but the efforts seem to not be working greatly. And then the zoological, that was a rough way to say that. The Zoological Society of London listed the Philippine eagle as a top 15 EDGE species, which is EDGE. It's an acronym for Evolutionary Distinct and Globally Endangered Species. The main cause behind this intense decline in population is deforestation. A lot of logging goes on in the Philippines, and a lot of agricultural expansion has happened over the last 50 years. Other threats are mining expansions, pollution, pesticides, and poaching. And poaching is becoming kind of a more pressing threat because of this, agriculture expansion, logging. They're kind of being pushed into to living in areas closer to humans as humans expand into the eagle territory. And farmers don't enjoy eagles, so at least one eagle is estimated to be shot every year, even currently. So that's a problem. And you might think one eagle isn't a lot, but when you're only working with 200, that's not great. Diminished numbers were first documented, I suppose, by a Filipino ornithologist, Dioscoro S. Rabor. And then the director of the Parks and Wildlife Office, Jesus A. Alvarez, also was in on that. And they were the first people to be like, something's going on here. One person that greatly influenced and helped with the protection of the Philippine eagle was a man named Charles Lindbergh. He was best known, and you may know him, probably not, but it's possible, for crossing the Atlantic alone without stopping in 1927. He was the first one to do it. It was a big deal. He went to the Philippines multiple times and was fascinated by the eagle, and he had some power and some sway, and he did a lot in coercing people to protect the eagle. In 1969, the monkey-eating eagle conservation program began. They helped out. They got things going. By 1992, the first eagles were hatched via artificial insemination, and then the first naturally bred captive eagle was hatched in 1999. So they made some progress there. They went through a series of very unfortunate events, and this was an interesting thing to read because there's a lot of highs and lows here. So I'll just give it to you raw, let you deal with the emotions. The first captively bred bird released into the wild was in 2004. Great success. However, it was electrocuted in 2005. Not great success. Another bird was naturally bred and released in 2008, but was shot and eaten by a farmer soon after its release. They tried again in 2015 with another eagle being released from captivity, but it was also shot later that year. That's the most recent update I've got for you. a rough series of events for the poor Philippine eagle. You might be thinking, man, all these people are shooting. They need to put a stop to it. They try. Killing a Filipino eagle is punishable by 12 years in jail and extremely heavy fines. So, these people killing the eagles are really putting it out there. And it's very important for the ecosystems on these 4 islands because if you think about it, this eagle is a top predator. I mean, it's keeping in check monkey populations, civet populations of other birds, which are keeping in check, I mean, there's a lot going on there. It's an umbrella species, which means it is, protecting all the other species from devolving into chaos. And don't get me wrong, if it does go extinct, it's not the end of the Philippines, but it will take a while for nature to adjust. Keep in mind, nature always prevails. Always. On a lighter note, kind of some representation of the eagle. It was named the national bird of the Philippines on July 4th, 1995. Let's go, America, and the Filipino eagle. Let's go, dude. Let's freaking go, dude. What a good day, am I right? Other representations, the eagle was featured on 12 stamps, the 50 centimo coin, the 500 peso coin, the 5,000 peso lapu-lapu, and the 1,000 peso polymer banknote. And then the eagle was also the sport mascot for the 2005 Southeast Asian Games, known as the Gilas, and they are the mascot for the Philippines men's national basketball team. Pretty cool, dude. Pretty cool. So that's pretty much what I've got for the Philippine eagle, the monkey-eating eagle. Very cool bird. Very cool ecology, taxonomy. Very cool bird. Might not be around for that much longer, which is very sad. And one of the best things you can do to help any endangered species really is make people aware. Spread awareness, spread knowledge. That's how you fix every problem, is knowledge. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Philippine eagle. I think it's a really cool bird. I think it looks dope as hell. And I think you're dope as hell. Fist bump. Plink. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you know someone who needs some help, give them some help. Reach out to those you haven't reached out to in a while. Call your mom. Tell her you love her. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Smash like, and I will see all of y'all later.